Good day again. Welcome to another of my story, my journey as getting to be a pastry chef, becoming an executive pastry chef. So today I want to talk about being reliable. One of the things that I notice in my years of working is the most persons to excel are the ones that are the most reliable, right? And I can use myself as an example to say that and it wasn't a thing that I said I am going to be reliable. I think it's just who I am, right? And in one of my previous videos, I share that it's always good to take on new challenges, and while growing up, I never used to say no to any particular task, right? I try to take on the task even if I know that I'm not able to do it. I will say, okay, as long as I am aware and I get help from another co-worker or one of my leaders, I am always willing to take on that task. When you are reliable staff, right, what it does is you are able to get more, right? And you are able to take on more, which in turn you will be able to learn more, right? I know that when you try to be reliable, you will always hear from other staff or other colleagues, right, or other associates that, oh, every minute you take on work and you do this at work, and you do that the work, then you do this and do that. But you have to know that you will always have the naysayers. You will always have the persons that are staying in one place. They are not really moving forward, right? Or they may be able to, can do it and have the experience already, and just don't want somebody else to get it, right? And so you will always hear someone saying, oh, don't do it, them are kill you with the work, them are pressure you. But you have to know what you want, right? And the most reliable you can be, the more versatile you can be, it always work for you. Because as a staff, being reliable to you, it might comes as pressure, one, or it might comes on as if the boss is really giving you so much work to do. I remember I was working with a chef one time, and he said, Conway, he called me to do it. And I was like, I look at it, I'm saying, even when persons are not really so busy, he will call me to do it. And one day I said to him, why everything you call me to do it, right? Why you don't, somebody else can do it? And he said, young boy, the only reason why every time I call you to do it, is because I know that when you do it, you're going to do it good, you're going to do it well, and I don't have to look at it again, right? And from that day on, I look at it from a different angle and a different perspective, right? To say that, he is trusting me or entrusting me to do this, right? And if that's the case, then it's a good thing. It's not a bad thing, And so anytime I've been called upon to do and to take on a task, I will ensure that I do it, because one thing about me is, anybody know me and work with me in the industry is they will know that when it comes down to the work, I will always try to do it to the best of my ability, right? And so being reliable can be such a good thing for you. And when I grow to become a manager, right, I realize the importance of having a reliable staff on board, right? You always want somebody where you can entrust with a particular task and duty, and they will carry it out how you would want to. And so one of the things as leaders, what we are to do is ensure that we train the staff well. One, also from the staff perspective, ensure that when you're getting that training, right, you don't receive it as to say, it is for you to be pressured, but it is for you to grow. Because always remember that the leader that allow you to grow is the leader that is going to allow himself to grow. And every time that leader grow, you grow as well, because now he can take on more challenges, and then you can be assigned to more duties and tasks, right? And so it's always important from both sides, from the leader perspective and from the staff perspective, that both grow all together, right? And you're building yourself, you're building your strength. So don't listen to the naysayers, don't listen to what others are saying all the time. You must know what you want, right? And I know that it can be very hard and very difficult when you're trying to push out and you're hearing that, okay, no, man, every time you take up this and you take up this, and they will always use it to say, boy, you are the boss favorite and all. But we have to understand that when it comes on to the work, right, any leader, any boss will always want to have that reliable person on board, that person that they can entrust with a particular duty to carry out, and know that they are going to do it well, right? So it is always important to be reliable, right? So next thing I want to look at is organizing and timing. There are some persons that are just fast. They work very, very fast. Growing up, that speed, I think for me, speed was always like an on and off thing, right? I've worked with persons before that if you give them a station to work, they are going to work very fast. And the thing about speed is, one, there are persons that work fast but don't do the job as clean and neat as should. It's very hard to find somebody that work fast and do it very well, right? For me, I used to take my time and things. I will do it little by little because I want to get a really good result, right? And so I wasn't a slow worker, but I was one that want to know that when I'm finished with any task given to me, it is done well. And if it takes for me to take some extra time on it, then that is what I will do, right? One of the things that I noticed is when you go to work, sometimes you go in very strong. There are some persons that start very strong, and then they might break in the middle, and they might finish a little bit weaker. While there are some persons that may start a little bit weaker, and then in the end part, before their shift close, they start pick up and they start work very fast, right? So you have different kind of persons that work. But what I believe that is a real balance is when you can recognize where you are, and wherever you find yourself to be weak, you ensure that you focus to build that part, right? So if you are one that always start weak, try to go in and start strong, right? Organizing is always a key factor to have, a key asset to have, because there are some persons they may not have the speed, but one thing they do is that they're very organized. And in the pastry world, you have to be organized, right? For me, right, anywhere I'm working in my workspace, and anybody will know that most time I ensure that my work area is always clean, right? Clean as you go. Clean as you go, you reset. Because when you have too much stuff on your table, it can create confusion, and it allow you to work slower, right? From a mental standpoint, because there's so much stuff there, you just cannot be as effective as you should. So the more organized you are, the better it is for you, right? And so there are some persons that what you can do is you can lay out your task and say, okay, I have this to do, I have this to do, I have that to do. So if you're prepping and you know that you have something to bake, right? It is good to crack your ingredients, weigh out your ingredients, and mix that thing that is to bake. And while it is in the oven, you're working on something else. So that time, that 30 minutes, that 45 minutes, or even that hour that you're baking that item, you're working on something else. So once you have something to bake, it's always good to get it in the oven as soon as possible, right? Always try to stay organized. Always try to work with efficiency and being effective, right? The more you put out, the better it is for you. Don't cut short on your work, because what I always say is that the person that cuts short on your work, you're cutting short of your growth. You're cutting short of your ability to learn something else, right? So don't cut short on your work. Keep your work going. And so that is it for today, right? And next time you will hear from me again as I try to share my experience of my years of working in the industry, growing, coming from the grassroots, right, with no family background of baking, and growing from a trainee to become an executive pastry chef. Until next time, stay tuned, and thank you for tuning in.